Pounds Regional Airport is in the process of replacing its 75-year-old air traffic control tower. KLTV7's April Peerdont was at the Airport Advisory Board meeting where board members talked about the next steps.
A new air traffic control tower.
After 75 years, Tyler Pounds Regional Airport Traffic Control Tower is in the process of being replaced.
And we were awarded a grant of over $1.1 million last year to do a siting study and partial design of a new control tower.
For the past weeks, a study was conducted by KSA engineers to help determine where the tower will be located. Tyler's airport controllers were then able to use virtual reality technology to look at 3 models of proposed sites.
And then look around from those sites just as if they were up in those towers, and we could play with things like the daylight, the angle of the sun.
During the Airport Advisory Board meeting, Airport Manager Steve Thompson says they were able to land on a preferred site.
It's very close to this building, adjacent to the administrative functions of the airport, provides easy access for the controllers. It can be made to be a secure environment inside our fence as well, so a lot of promising aspects to that site of the 3 that were considered.
For Jerry Sorsback, a local private pilot in Tyler, says giving air traffic controllers newer technology for them to use will help better monitor air traffic.
They certainly help maintain safe separation of planes. When you go to an airport that doesn't have a tower, then the pilots are responsible for separation, and of course you try to be very safe, but it adds another layer of safety and protection.
Next steps will be to finalize an environmental assessment and begin design of the actual tower.
The height of the tower has already basically been established, but we'll be able to design, get into the design phase and come up with some cost estimates and then pursue funding for that.
April Peerdont, KLTV 7 News.
Air traffic control tower is expected to be up and running later next year or in 2027.